Hello, Awfulman. You are the first of many. The first of many. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 you. Reconnect the page. Is it not the right window? This is the right window. There we go. Hello, everyone. I have decided to bless you all with content while I'm in the middle of the PoE cave. Remember to say thank you. And prepare yourselves for unadulterated cringe never before seen from the likes of normal men and women. And after all, it is a VSChat episode, so the green room is open. Everything you do is content to me, Carl. That statement can be slightly terrifying depending on how you frame it. However, we're pushing through it anyways. Hello. Now, when people usually say the word content, they say it in the dehumanizing way, as in, oh, your pain, misery, and anger is gonna be my content. And, like, that's probably half the reason why so many people feel the way they particularly feel about topics and conversations. For example, if you were to look at, say, the channel page for Chud Logic, If you go to Chud Logic's channel page, for example, and look at any of the content that he specifically did about the Super Mega Drama, you would look at this and be like, oh my god, this is what they do? This is what React streamers do? This is their content? You think people's pay... That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes, not many, most people are not that brain dead, right? But every now and again, there are some people who will do probably some of the wildest thing possible. So they can, you know, be in the thing, doing the thing as the thing. A bit terrifying, a bit sickening. Anyways. Those of you who've been paying attention on Twitter, you've seen this person before. And those of you who know what I'm talking about today, because you actually looked at what I posted on Twitter, might be familiar with this thread. Much out of my content fashion, I, instead of just doing what I usually do when I take an archive of something, decided I was going to make a PDF of this thread. Because I had the feeling that after they started getting called out for this horrible fucking take, that they were going to lock their tweets. Because that's what they do. They have a horrible fucking opinion based on them playing a video game that they jumped into playing because it's a part of the trend. And then, when people disagree with them, instead of being an adult, instead of deleting the thread, which is still archived though, instead of, you know, having conversation with people about it, making content, they instead do what they always do and get terrified of being perceived. I have it in two forms. I have it in the roll down form. I have it in the archive form, but we're going to go through it through this way. I feel it will be more authentic to life. No, it didn't make me think that way. I'm just saying sometimes people misuse words. It's nothing you did. It's other people being brain dead. It's just one of those things, you know? Just one of those things. Where people do things, and other people suffer because of that thing that a person did. Nothing you should be upset about. Nothing you should be terrified of. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyways. I believe that's enough preamble. Let us begin. And we shall begin by zooming in. Because when I went through this to set up the stream today, I noticed that that the thing was gone from where I bookmarked it. And I knew that I bookmarked it specifically so I could read it in real time. The racism in Baldur's Gate is so generally fucking hard on me. Playing a tiefling as a black person is brutal. Your party members antagonize you, the game antagonizes you, and the plot positions you as the bad guy if you don't help the druids that are calling you slurs. You're playing as a demon, a half-demon. That's what a tiefling is. It is an unholy creature. You chose to play as the literally me fan service character. For people who, back when the game was being produced, specifically hated that people had all of these unique options and most of them just chose to make human fighters. You're complaining that everybody in the game world, when they see your demon character, treats them like they're a demon? Bro, that's crazy! Now, those of you who have heard me talk about the topic, Baldur's Gate, that particular word that I put there in the title, Envycreature. This is what I designed that word for, right? For those of you who don't understand what it means, an Envycreature means somebody who features, tells, shows themselves or markets themselves, as you can clearly see here in the bio, as non-binary, a secondary sex type, or sexual other. If they don't identify as just a normal human being and go out of their way to put their pronouns in bio, and like in all the other threads that I've demonstrated on the topic, call themselves people who are playing Baldur's Gate 3 as a form of queer representation and sex and celebration, they are an envy creature. Because they want not only for you to envy them, but envy others and how they choose to perceive themselves, because they don't like being perceived in ways that they don't like. It sounds like, well, Carl, isn't that a normal thing? No. They want to be seen as the main character. They don't care about being a person enjoying a thing. It specifically needs to be about how they need to victimize themselves. They're playing a video game that is not My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Sing-Along Edition. And they're getting mad that the game world has strife and adversity and hardship and abrasion. It's not Stardew Valley fully heavily modded with all the sex mods you could ever desire. Therefore, it physically is hurting you to play a video game that you chose to play because it was a new game that came out, and the people who are behind the project and all the people who are getting on top of the project are demonstrating the reason why when people make stupid ass opinions about fandoms and contents and topics, if you were to make an opinion such as fandom with headcanon and shipping is normal and expected, it would go hand in hand that if that is normalized and expected, then harassment and dogpiling is also expected. This is what an envy creature does. It is actually brain dead. You're not your character, but they're so in pain about things happening to their character, it makes me concerned for whether or not people have media literacy. Unironically. Throw more popcorn into the fucking microwave because I accidentally ate both bags I prepared for this. Like, if I don't help the druid who is going to execute a child of my race for being my race, execute a demon for being a demon, I lose access to the character Karlach. If I save the druids, they insinuate that I'm a disease, but if I fail the quest, a massacre of my people is on my hands. What the fuck, bro? Yeah, there's this thing in gameplay called diverging story paths and immersion. When you have immersion, allowing a character to do a thing, doing a thing, because that thing is important, is going to be shown and represented differently in the way you interact with the content. Would you prefer it that if instead of having it so that most classes, if not all classes, can have access, I can feel a pimple on my cheek from a popping, can have access to character, instead of you lose access to Karlach if you don't do the quest, how about if you play a tiefling, you don't get access to Karlach ever? Would that be acceptable?
Oh no, then you wouldn't be able to have sex with your flaming freak dummy mommy? Oh my god, that's so bad!
It's so horrible, guys. I specifically played the game so I could have the sexual intercourse with a fantasy character, and being made to do choices in a video game about roleplay is just hurting me. I come home from a long day of microaggressions and masking, and then my guard is back up. I should be stressed that I'm making bad decisions, not because Larry Roselle keeps threatening to kill me in my sleep for having horns. And for white players, this is just fantasy. African American, multiracial, French harlot here. I can play fantasy games, and I am not physically hurt by decisions that aren't real. We are able to have this happen if we are normal and are not conflict averse and are not wounded by fictional characters. It is possible to have these things. It is possible to talk about these things. It is possible to experience these things. It is possible to play the porn of these things without being this wounded by a fantasy character interacting with the role your character's playing. I didn't expect much traction off of this. I didn't like this game. It's a good game. Everyone's gonna feel different. If you're white and taking a moral stance over the game that's louder than BIPOC, then consider that you're doing that to feel good about yourself. Y'all be easy. Okay, so hold on, pause. The racism in Baldur's Gate. The racism in Baldur's Gate is so fucking hard on me. I didn't expect much traction off of this. You cannot start a tweet off with this kind of a sentence and then say, I didn't expect this kind of traction for what I said. This is just people getting mad at me. I just wanted to vent about how I didn't like the game that I chose to buy for $60 fucking dollars. I didn't expect traction off of this, but now that I have the traction, let me attack you racially. Like the racist I am. Because I think in terms of race. All the time. I care about race so much, I wound myself and victimize myself over a fictional race I chose to play. I could have played anything else. I could have started over the save file and played something different. But I chose not to. Because I'm a big coochie. I'm a big coochie. I'm a big, giant, massive, monolithic, curvaceous, extremely fucking wounded, weak, and fragile. Hi, Alabastard. Gucci. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, bro. There's a pregnant pause that needs to be had when you're reading threads. When you read a thread like this and they start doing this, I stopped listening like up here. But once you got here, that's when I knew this had to be content. Okay. Because the next sentence is where this is gonna get crazy. Y'all really don't need me to tell me more about Karlek, I promise. Even if I'm wrong, which still seems unclear, and she can't be locked out, it does affect your relationships with her and Will. And the racism is the point! It's super fucking unnecessary. Back in the day, there was a thread that was written by Lily Pete about bad, quote, writing practices that you should never do in a story. Not only did Jay cover it, everybody except me covered it, but also two super fucking lefty people covered it. And when they got to this particular section about you can't have fantasy racism in a story just for the purposes of having it. If you choose to do something, I believe that the way that it went was, if you choose to have racism in a world, or if you choose to have bigotry in a world where there can never be black people just because you decided, you're super fucking weird. You're super fucking weird, and you're just a bigot and a hateful Nazi. And they both agreed with this concept. Jay laughed at this. I laughed at this. Most people laughed at this. I'm pretty sure even Literature Devil did a stream covering it and laughed at it. And this is where this unnecessary mentality comes from. Racism in a fantasy game is super unnecessary. Listen to me. Listen to me. If it were possible for biblically accurate angels and devils to come from the pits and from the higher pantheon of principality, if they were physically able to manifest themselves in their true form, but for our convenience chose to become anime waifu counterparts of themselves, complete with all the fucking anime tropes, people would definitely become racist, not just against demons, but also against the higher seraphim. Regardless of whether or not you call them powers and dominions and thrones, all the very unique names for all the circles of angels. Regardless of whether or not you called them by their names or the chosen human name they each wished to adopt to be able to socialize and act in society, if we could be able to confirm, no, for a fact, that angels and demons were real, and that they walk amongst humans, they make no qualms about hiding their intelligence, their appearance, and their interaction with society. They even encourage us to ask questions about the other side, and will willingly show us, without bringing harm to us, did everything possible to answer our questions about the afterlife. Either saying that, yeah, God is real, but he's also not here right now. Kind of left you humans in charge to see if you'll be able to manage on your own. Kind of like a big test. And demons were like, oh yeah, we told you y'all motherfuckers, but we don't really need to told y'all motherfuckers anymore. You guys be doing this on your own. We would find a way to be bigoted against angels just as much as we could against devils. Because anyone can be racist against anyone and bigoted against anyone and mean and rude against anyone. Because that's how people are. People have that inside. They have it inside. And because they have that desire inside, the same way that those people could become racist and bigoted, they'd become horny for them. There's no way you're going to tell me there's not going to be a human man that's going to find the first angel possible. Doesn't matter if it's a lolly, doesn't matter if it's a big MILF that chooses to present herself as like big-breasted just to exist. There will be a person, it'll probably be me, there'll be a person that will look at everything possible and be like, listen to me. I know God made you in his image, but tonight I'm having you in my flesh. Come to my bedroom. Come and fly into my window. We shall hump in the moonlight, flying through the air on your wings. There will be a person who will do it, just like there's going to be a person who is going to take all of the kind of fucking fire immunities and asbestos suits that they can to be like, listen to me, devil woman and or devil man. I'm going to find a way to be able to make it so that your extremely volcanic penis and or vagina will be traversable by me, because I will have that demon pudding. I will have it. I will have it. My right will be mine. It's going to happen. Because that's people. If you claim in a storyline, because I can only assume Karlach is a demon, because all I see is horns and red skin. If the point of a storyline is the racism, then all you see is the racism. All you care about is the racism. You hyper-focus specifically on the section that says, I get mad that if I try to save the people who hate me, they insinuate all of my people are a disease. if you get the messaging here being, you can do everything possible to help other people, and they will still treat you like garbage and resent the ground you walk on, you gotta accept that's part and parcel of living in this world. If your mind is broken by that concept, where, oh no, they didn't worship the ground I walk on, what the fuck? This isn't what I was promised. Maybe consider that you are not made for that game. That game isn't made for you.
That game and its story is made for you.
And maybe you should try playing something else. No, you're going to continue past the point that says, listen, there's going to be information and things that are going to piss you off. You deal with the story as it comes, and you just still continue to play it? You press play? You kept pressing A? But you're still whining! I don't care.
I don't care.
There is no world where you can convince me to give a shit about your complaining about a quest in a video game. Imagine if we spoke the exact same way about, say, the Bayou Outlanders and Point Lookout for Fallout 3. Or, more accurately, the Super Mutants of the series. To get so violently mad about something that you have a limited form of control over, and you don't remind yourself it's a video game, it's gonna be okay. Whatever happens next to that point is literally on you. Okay? Alright? If you're so wounded by the world that you can't even enjoy the content that you paid for in a fantasy game that's going to have a fantasy setting, and thus fantasy rules of that fantasy setting that don't reflect the real world you live in, save your money. You could have had a whole $60 and could have been playing something like Path of Exile. Maybe that's more your speed. But here's where it gets real wild, okay? The quote tweets are a goddamn cesspool. I never said don't play the game. I said repeatedly I love it. I really hate the racism in this game, but I love this game. But I fucking hate the racism in this game, but I love this game. I want this shit burned off the face of existence. I can't believe this shit. Stop. Either you don't care about the traction, or you do care about the traction, and you just want to go back and forth. Because right about here on this next comment is where this got onto my radar. Okay? Because when you think about it... Also, hi, Horror. I hope I did my best to make you laugh. Because the problem I have isn't this entire song and dance that you guys do. Okay? Because at the very minimum, this person is talking about the game. They are talking about the game, right? But, whereas everybody else is talking about how they're going to have Karlach or will slam Karlach from the side, or they're going to hold hands like this, while Shadowheart is fucking riding them reverse cowgirl. Sinful, I know. Doesn't this just fucking kill you inside? This sinful act I'm pantomiming in front of you? How disgusting, Carl. How could you? Instead of talking about that, you're instead molding about the druids. Why didn't you just kill the druids after you completed the quest? Why don't you enact that social justice you guys love so much? Take repatriation for their bigotry and racism. You could have played the fantasy game. You could have role-played. You could have seen what happened. It's a single-player game. You can do whatever you want. Why didn't you murder them? Why didn't you murder Hobo them? Huh? Besides that, it's good to deal with racism in fiction, but doing so disproportionately affects BIPOC. Do you think we prance around every day not experiencing a lick of discrimination? Every time I walk up to a large man or woman, and they don't immediately fall on their knees and say, "Oh my God, Carl, your cock bulge is immaculate, bro. Oh my God, can I touch it? May I fondle your package?" That is a form of discrimination. I mean, look at me. I'm a beautiful. I'm a full fucking package, baby. Like, wow. Who wouldn't want this prime piece of real estate? But when you get to this point, right? When you play a fictional game, and then after playing the fictional game, you go onto the internet, and then you complain about your actions in said fictional game. And then, when people see your words, right? This is layers. You bought the game, you played the game, you experienced the story, you got mad about the story, you went onto the internet, that's where you fucked up, you complain about the story, people start mocking you. "Oh my God, I can't believe you're giving me this attention. But now that you're giving me this attention, I'm gonna go lower." When you get here, and you start saying this, and then you say, "Tieflings, goblins, orcs, and drow are heavily steeped in racist, bioascensionist lore." How far down do you need to reach before you start ignoring this concept called sexual dimorphism and evolutionary differences? How far down you gotta go? Because I know there's a bottom. I thought the bottom was if you have to compare people, such as African Americans, to a fantasy creature race, like tieflings, orcs, goblins, and drow, which is to say, cave elves, and elves, and dwarves, and kobolds, and dragons, and angels, and elementals of various planes of existence, and deathless ghosts of negative energy, Godspawn, the Otherwise, Warforged. If your entire ability to discuss the world only ever exists in the one lens of racism that you have, that your racism makes you so racist you unironically become the thing that you complain about, where's your bottom? Because I can't imagine this is fun for you guys. I know that, like, in the moment it's fun for you, but is this fun for you? Do you enjoy getting so huffed up on your own farts that after talking all that shit with 2.k followers, you then lock your account? Because, the wrong people got my tweet. Instead of just deleting the tweet thread? If what you wanted to do is you wanted to go onto the internet and you just wanted to vent these three things, why didn't you just lock the post to your Twitter circle? Am I wrong? Am I the wrong one here? Do I have it the wrong way around? Because there's an entire conversation that can be had with just these 3 tweets here. Right? Like, what happened? Media literacy guys, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are the media literacy understanders? Where are the people who said that we can write whatever we want and have diversity and representation and inclusion and then it can be made better by it? Where are they? Where are those people? I think they're too busy still trying to complain about and whine about the super mega canceling. Then when we get down here, there's another conversation that can be had with these 2 comments alone. Because clearly one of the things people reached out to do here, by you acknowledging it, is that, hey, the game didn't lock you out of your ability to play with Karlach. You can still have Karlach. It's not about Karlach, though. It's not about Karlach, though. And yes, she is watching Family Feud in the background. She's eating her dinner. Why is this how you choose to behave? Like my man. My girl. My guy. My they thussy. It seems like you cared more about complaining to complain than you complained about not liking the interaction. For example, Path of Exile. You just put out a hotfix for a lot of the things that have to deal with Tota. Something they should have done for a long while. Because the game was just punishing you. If I didn't like Path of Exile, if I didn't like the game, why would I keep torturing myself by playing the season? Like, when it stopped in Crucible, and I didn't like the game mechanic, and I didn't like my build was getting punished, you know what I did? I stopped playing! And I waited an entire timeline to come back to play it again! And while I play this league, which I plan to play a lot more of, don't you worry, boys. While I complain about the things I dislike loudly, I didn't say, and the way that you guys show this horrible level of bigotry depicted with the Garui tribes, literally rising up against the Oriothan scum and murdering their people, and resultingly sicking a savage Karui god to devour their corpses, is a horrible example of the worst kind of power fantasy never before enacted by Antifa chuds. Would you not lose respect for me if I were to do something of that veracity just because I felt like it was a problem? It's kind of fucking dumb, right? Right. So why are we doing it here? Why does it seem like it's more about complaining about Karlach loving than it is about, playing the game? Because I'm sure there's more waifus that you'd love to romance, but for some reason, specifically you wanted to use the half-fiend race, and the half-fiends to you are marginalized people. As though there isn't already a big marginalization from being alive in a world with brutal fantasy. Would it not be an example of proper representation that everybody gets fucked over in this world? Is it not more likely? Or is it just more fun to do the whining thing? I gotta imagine it's more fun to do the whining thing. That's what I have to imagine. I have to imagine it's more fun to do the whining thing.
Good evening.
I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, that's
What?
Oh, I said good evening.
Hello, Jade. Change your picture.
Hi. I'm here for this episode. I should appear in more episodes, but greetings. This whole mess. Yes.
Is that the word we're using to describe it? A mess?
I'm going to call this a mess because this is just god awful.
There'll be worse. There'll be more bad takes, and I'll cover them. Because, thanks to the works of Guyver has sent me the game.
Oh, goody.
Red did not have to do it for us this time. Wheezy did not have to buy me the game so that I can experience this cringe myself. Still send me your money anyway, Wheezy. Become like Owl Bastard. Support your niggardry today. Otherwise, you hate black people. I still can't do that with a straight face without laughing. However, this is not the end of the thread, boys.
Oh,
it was only the beginning!
Please, no. Oh, so how deep are we in this?
Not even close to done.
Oh, that's fabulous. Great. Well, I'm here for it.
Like, y'all really don't see the problem with the devil did something evil, so all its descendants for the rest of time are evil? You don't see the problem with categorizing a large swath of people as evil and calling them pejoratives based on their appearance and heritage? Hey, that person who, over there, the horns, they were literally created as the action of a person falling from grace. And in the action of falling from grace, they can rip your soul out if they stare at you too long. That's why that thick goth wearing the fishnets won't look you in the eyes. Clearly this is hatred and bigotry against my people, and I would like to be soul stolen just like everybody else. Why won't they give me the attention? This is bigotry and racism against blacks. It's the exact same thing. I too am like a Jew. And like a black Jew, and I'm not done, and like a black Jew, you will have to take your place at the back of the oven. Someone cooked here! And we can tell because there's Tony Shakers all over the ground. I don't...
I was gonna add in the fact of, you know... God dang it, I just lost my train of thought. Apologies. But, I just love the idea that making this, and once again, making this an allegory for black people. It's like, I'm sorry, do black people have to, like, have their heads constantly down? The fuck? Like, this don't make sense to me.
Black people always have their face down to the ground to make sure nobody steps on their J's. Or in this case, their magical boost of swiftness +2.
I mean, if you stepped on my +2 boots, I'm gonna smack you across the face. Yeah! It's like, you know how much platinum this cost me?
Encouraging a necromancer moment.
He stepped on my +2 boots of swiftness, so I cast a gate and only cast protection from evil on my party members and watched the world burn. This is your fault. This is your fault, Samsung Silver Shoe.
Jesus.
If the tiefling and druid conflict in the grove was really about the tieflings being refugees and not their race, the druids at the gate wouldn't have yelled slurs. The druid missing a logic inside wouldn't have threatened to beat a tiefling child from stealing from him, etc. So if instead of making it tieflings versus druids, if I made it Korean Chinese Americans against African Americans in Compton, would you get it then, or would you still complain of racism? I think the answer explains itself, but it gets worse. And it's funny to watch y'all go, not all druids. Ah, yes, because druids are just like cops. Druids are just like cops. Druids are just like cops. Alright? Druids are just like cops. Because druids are just like cops. When somebody says to you, listen, the actions of one druid doesn't reflect on the whole, just like the actions of one tiefling shouldn't reflect on the whole, you get stuck on the concept of the fantasy race that you still cannot understand the abstract. Again, where are you medieval literacy understanders? Where's Patrick Willem to tell you that this is just a plot hole and that you shouldn't care about it? It's funny to watch y'all go, not all druids. Though you can do that, but I can't point out that even my traveling companions who favor I've earned, implying I'm good for a devil, is really gross. Y'all are over here going, all fictional lives matter, come on. My envy in Christ. You are literally complaining about politics in a story where the point in most stories is that all fictional life doesn't matter. Who is more permanently online right now? The people you perceive yourself to be fighting, or you? Here comes the best part. And don't play a tiefling or drow isn't a solution. I challenge y'all to be brave enough to critique the media you consume. Critiquing something isn't the same as condemning it. I know I pointed out something specific right here, because overwhelmingly BIPOCs are speaking again? Multicultural, multiracial, French, harlot. I don't have this issue. Please, people, if for no other reason, give me money for exposing myself to this bad black. I can promise you and understand. This overwhelming BIPOC speaking up is speaking up because this motherfucker makes us look bad. And I will not be part and parcel to their fried chicanery and online buffoonery. They are clearly a bigot. And I will call that bigot out.
See, I can't make the same tone because Canadian American just doesn't roll off the tongue.
You're only half black from the top up.
Yeah, I'm like half snow on the bottom. You know? It's too freaking annoying.
It's not bad faith to ask why BIPOCs don't get the same level playing field in media. From character creators to stereotypes to in-game parallels of our real trauma, we are constantly misrepresented. Meaningful depictions of race don't equal forcing BIPOCs to leave trauma without consent. Did you not buy the game? Was there not an interaction? Even in the form of a free interaction of the game being handed to you in reciprocation of a request? Did you not install the game? Take all the time to install the game? Then open the game? Begin playing the game? Design the character? Interact with the world? Play the characters? Arrive at this event in time? And then go onto the internet to complain? And then, when told many of the things that you could do to avoid the supposed trauma that you're experiencing, and saying, listen, that's not an answer, that you then also double backed and said, but I actually like the game! My envy and sin. Either you don't like the situation, or you don't like the game and how it's written and want it to change for you. There is no in between. Because now, you've gone from, I hate that this storyline is like this, I just dislike it, it's not comfy, to, see, you guys can't have a conversation about racism, because you won't even confront it when it's in your video games! You won't talk about racism with the game! I wanted to fire Wonder Woman to crush my pelvis and turn me into a flamboyant. Oh, you ain't gonna Ferrero Rocher, and you guys just think I'm too weak. My traveling companions say I'm good for a travel. I just finished watching Good Omens Season 2, and I will not take the slander! I used to be good! Why can't you just see me as good? You're making me relive trauma. My mama didn't like me, so she hit me with a stick.
That's cute. That's real cute. You know? I too love it when, you know, my only trauma is effectively, oh no, I was told no. Also, to sort of like go and dissect this whole issue about like the in-game parallels to our real trauma. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be real. I don't have your same traumas. I don't have the same traumas as Carl. I don't have the same traumas as anybody else. So, whatever you're saying, you don't represent us. At all. In the slightest. And saying the fact of like, yeah, you know, we are forced to like relive trauma of all this is like, what? I'm sorry. Am I supposed to feel for the tiefling? Nah, I'm the human fighter. Deal with it. Which is what I'm gonna play when I get this goddamn game.
It's a bit terrifying that this is the result of allowing people into places that they don't belong. I unironically do mean that. BreadTubers, here's your chance to clip me out of context. Because it has been nothing but an unmitigated disaster every time we allow somebody like this to go viral. By the nature of just simply displaying the crazy and saying nothing. That when we start showing people that it was a mistake for us to allow something like extra credits to go on for as long as they did before they finally decided to say it was quits. Because they now had destroyed their name by saying, if you allow people to play as Nazis, you need to specifically, intrinsically make sure that they know they're one of the good Germans, and not one of the bad Germans. Or worse, if you don't change these characters so that people see the parallel between them and them, they're gonna think that they're an evil, ugly fucking creature. And then allow an evil fucking creature to say, finally, a barbarian for me! Because for some reason, it is impossible for yourself to see yourself as a barbarian unless they specifically have your own facial features. To say that the only time you're able to interact with material is when you can literally see yourself in it by making yourself in it isn't truly the problem. That's not the deeper issue. There's a deeper issue under this, because there's always a deeper issue under this. There's always the inevitable conversation about popcorn! No!
Oh, no! No! Not the popcorn!
There is an inevitable conversation to be had about the game journalists. But we're not talking about them. And that conversation goes, the game journalists are just hypocrites. That when they get what they want, they will say it's not enough and demand more. Because it's not about making representation. It's about bending you over a fucking crate and getting you to do what they want. And if you don't do what they want, they'll call you a bigot because they find it fun. They are children who like pulling the flies and pulling on the wings of helpless creatures that can't defend themselves because they hate you and want you to remember that they hate you.
I'm sorry, pardon me. That sounds awfully similar to, you know, rape.
I mean...
Technically.
I mean, they are raping an industry.
I mean, yes.
But the Games Journal's problem aside, the Envycreature's issue, heads it off, is a much more interesting dynamic. You're not concerned with the thing that you're cannibalizing. If you truly cared about Baldur's Gate 3, you wouldn't be sitting here whining about it! You'd be playing it. What, mother?
So, while Carl is away, I'm going to say this right now. Yes, they wouldn't be whining about this. Instead, what they would be whining about is the multitude of buggy stuff for Act 3. Truth be told, I have not gotten to the game yet, but I will say this. I, myself, do actually care for a game like this. This seems actually interesting, and I do enjoy Larian's games. However, I will say, good God, why'd they fumble Act 3?
In the middle of something. Not done talking. I had to go get the broom. And then I was interjected.
But,
I have to go pick up toilet paper because my mother didn't catch it.
I do find this hilarious. Hilarious. And now I shall read the chat. Yes, Human Fighter is based. I do want to play multitude of things, and I've seen that my friends are very much so enjoying the game, and I would love to play more of it.
I can't hear you, Jade. My headset's
Story-driven games are one of the best things I can ever truly talk about. I mean, it is entirely just a nothing burger. I call it a nothing burger because, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, if you think that I, myself, or Carl, or anybody who is African American, or any race for that matter, even...
I will be there in a second.
Hold on. If you have any capacity, if you think that any race in of itself is a very, like, a varying degree of, quote, an evil race, or you think that, this race is X because, hey, I see that in them, that speaks volumes of you more than what the game is showing. Because then that, like, it just returns back to that one meme of, wait, you think I'm an orc? It's like, I can't believe that they made it like this. It reminds me of you guys. It's like, the hell are you talking about? See Phantasm. I doubt they have a capability to spot the buggy stuff or even comprehend once the politics are dealt with. See, I don't know if it's an issue about politics aside, but I would assume that for the devs, it's more of an... How do I say this? It's more of just, like, what's on the cutting room floor, if that makes sense. Because there is a multitude of things that were cut out. I've heard complaints about a lot of endings not making sense, and a lot of things that were not promised that... not being in the game, not promised, but like what was promised is not in the game.
Don't interrupt the live show.
And for Larian, that is a typical, quote unquote, typical deal with them. So you'll have instances of just stuff that is on the cutting room floor slowly be patched up within about like a year's time. And within a year's time, you'll have the full deal. And with that, it's then fully complete, and now everybody starts making it critically acclaimed. That's the typical Larian style of how they do. And that's okay. It's not necessarily a great thing. See Cyberpunk 2077 for that. Because when you start like making promises of stuff, people will hold you to it. It will always be held to a standard. if you do announce like, hey, yeah, this is like a little bit too strong or a little bit too powerful, like for instance, there was initially supposed to be wall running in Cyberpunk 2077, and with how the old system, they tried to implement as much as they could of the old Cyberpunk games into that system. Truth be told, they didn't do it on day one, which frankly disappointed me, but it is what it is. But now they're adding stuff to it with Phantom Liberty, and the whole system that they're changing with that. I'm excited for that because, you know, cyberpsychosis should have been a thing in the beginning. Because, I'm sorry, while V is certainly a psychotic person with two people in one body, it's a bit like, okay, but can their body take it? Hi, Hellfire. We're talking about how Larian and some devs make their games. It's kind of a...
I dropped my popcorn, so he was just talking to entertain the chat. Another example of how I'm better than XQC.
Yeah. Carl tags out, I come in, I tag out, he comes in. See? We tag team the chat.
Don't describe it like that.
Nah, I'm gonna describe it like that.
Then I'm gonna tag team you with your wife.
Why'd you go how to bring her in?
Because she's gonna hold the camera.
Hey, yo, hey. Hello, Harvey. This train of thought has lost me. Don't worry. The train has been ridden.
Whatever it was a wonderful train, but now I'm derailing it. I'm decommissioning this train.
Yep, I'm tagging out.
As I was saying, game journalists are not people. The people who are game journalists are people. Game journalists are not people. The moment a person takes on the moniker of being a game journalist, they are no longer a person whose job it is to cover game news. They are solely political, moral busybodies who use games as a political stance to talk about their pet peeve issues. If you call them on this, they will just simply say that your game does not have enough of the thing that they demand and claim that they deserve and want to have in their games because it's time. But, as can be seen with Masturbate 3, even if you do everything correct, it's still not enough. Everyone's seen the article by this point. Everyone's seen the articles by this point. They flip-flopped on the issue. So it's not about them. They'll always move the goalpost because it's never enough. Until you are literally at the behest of their supremacist demands as they push their Western media imperialism onto all games, all genres, all companies, and can do to any company by games media what Anita Sarkeesian is going to continue to do even if Venomous Frequency goes under as a direct liaison to the games. They're never going to shut up. It's not about them. It's about the Envycreatures. It's about the people who carry water for these concepts, who think to themselves, oh yeah, I like the idea of bullying people about things that I want to do, about things that I want to talk about, and things I want to describe, and situations that I want to be able to present. I want to complain about something that's completely not a problem at all! I want to complain about racism in the story, but I don't want to complain about racism as in there's actually a problem with the race of the game, like the options that are supposed to be available aren't available. I'm going to put in a patch note to make sure that we can be able to fix this problem moving on in the future. No. I can't fuck my favorite waifu or husbando. This is such a sin and a plight that I will spend days on end. Because today is the 24th. This all was written starting officially on the 19th at 6:16 p.m. I will bitch and moan for nearly 5 days because I don't care about the game. I care about the racism. To the point that I will make every issue I talk about for racism and bigotry. Like a vegan, I will make it about myself. And about why you should be more like me. And of course, the last post before the other posts in the section, because this is only half the page, guys. You might see some besties and oompies in here. And again, like, I like the game. I really do. Come to your own conclusions. You have already told me multiple times I'm not supposed to come to my conclusions. I'm supposed to talk and listen to the BIPOCs that are whining. Come to your own conclusions of whether or not you want to play based on your comfort. So I was right. It is about you being uncomfy. Damn, it's almost like I know how you people think, and I didn't read this thread before I started talking about it, which I didn't. I just copied it and saved it down because I knew I was going to talk about it later. I'm not telling anyone to boycott or anything. The implication is that they shouldn't listen to their own minds. They shouldn't listen to the opinions of the game. They should just listen to BIPOCs tell them about how racism is bad. But the fantasy racism is ingrained into the story and it gets tiring. That's all I said. Then don't play the game. See? Weaponized Nerd Rage got it, has it right. Don't play the game. Don't play the game. Don't play the game. You're not made for the game. You're not tough enough. You do not have the requisite life experience to be able to play the game. And you should just play something else.
We need how Junior have an ass. But yeah, it's effectively that. There is.
Hold up.
It gets.
Not we had juniors. So we had juniors.
Hello, people.
Hello.
How you doing? Hi, Carl.
Hi. There's more.
How you doing?
There's more, of course. I'm fine.
There is more. There is in fact more, and I saw it a little bit. I'm just like sitting here going like, I'm sorry, but saying that Dungeons and Dragons is built on a problematic foundation is beyond
A thread.
the amount of stupidity that I've ever fathomed. It's kind of like the whole. I don't know if anybody knows who this person is, but it's kind of similar to Jenny D, and how if you don't use X, the concept of X cards in your game, you yourself are problematic.
So I have a huge question in regards to like fantasy racism. People have such a huge problem with it, and I'm like, that's something that will actually happen if various different races existed. I mean, we already have it with humans, with different skin tones and cultures and all that stuff, so why wouldn't it happen with orcs, elves, halflings, and dwarves?
Because when they think of fantasy racism, they think of Ren Fair. They think of a comfort zone, a comfort place, a comfort character, a comfort activity, and they imagine that everything will function kind of like a show built in a world that will reflect the real world that we live in. They will say, in the case that we've been told about Envycreatures, when it came to them literally giving their opinions multiple times, unsolicited, that it's about queer representation and celebration. That's why everybody's all talking only about the sex of the game. Because they like to have sex with fantasy characters. That specifically like the version of themselves that they fantasize about. This is the part of that people are missing. It's not, oh man, I'd really like to have sex with this demon as myself. No, you want to have sex with the demon as your version of Chad or Lysandra Thundercock or Breast Boobedly. You want to have sex with Karlak as Chad Thundercock the Fourth.
I see. I see that it's also hypocritical because it's like people can have fun thinking of themselves as Space Marines from Warhammer 40k, but I have to be okay with people wanting to fuck. Nah. That's not the way.
You can still have these things. That's because if you were to say, "Oh no, they don't like these kids because they won't let us have female Space Marines because they think they have to look like they have to wear booby armor and they just can't be a thing." No, you already have female Space Marines with the Sisters of Battle. You specifically want to insert yourself into the conversation by saying anybody who doesn't like the thing that you like and want the thing that you want must clearly be a Nazi, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be resistant to you. But the reason they're resistant to you is that you don't care about the thing. You're using it to talk about a pet peeve issue that you want to insert into the topic. It's
Tourists.
AKA, hello, Templin Institute, you scumbag. You
I don't know why that person did that. Like, how does a channel that talks about lore gets so caught up into the lore thing that they decide to say, oh yeah, by the way, 40k fans are sexist because they don't want female space marines.
because it's not about the sexism.
There
It's
are
about.
many female space marines.
It's not about the
Oh,
space
It's the
marines.
Emperor's children.
It's not about the space marines. It's about signaling to the correct quote party, the part and partial audience that he wants to invite. They want to invite to their content, to consume their content and be told, you see, over here, me, I'm a comfort space for you. Come give me your views and your money, guys. Give me your views and your money. I'm not with these people. Sargon's not truly a fucking fan of Warhammer 40k. That's a keck and a half. I am. Only the people who agree with our opinions are. However,
Exactly.
getting back to this, no, it's actually a good game. From a comment that says, I haven't seen any gameplay and only heard good things about it until this. That's horrible. What the fuck? Pause. Let's break down that sentence there for a second. I haven't seen any gameplay of the game, but I've only been hearing good things about the game until I heard about the gameplay and the story elements of the interactions of the game. Does that not explain my point entirely? Is that not why we're here? Is this...
You got money. I'm confused.
But then...
It's just so funny. Again, like, it's like they get so invested into all these spaces, yet these people clearly have never played or cared about the thing they're talking about.
They continue saying, no, it's a good game. Fantastic, actually. The story is rich and the characters are great. That means the racism is a part of the story. Therefore, you said that the racism is rich and the characters are great for the racism that they enact on your character. But Dungeons & Dragons is built on a problematic foundation of really racist stereotypes in history, and this game uses it as direct lore and leans heavily into it. You mean the story and the lore of the world matters? And it matters so much that you will be called a grammatically correct and tonally inclusive slur that you might have to pass a difficulty class to be able to understand, so you can feel the psychic pain that it causes you from hearing it? Like a black man and a black woman hearing somebody shout a racially charged message after calling them a raccoon? Do you mean it's like that? Come on down to the Antebellum South Racism Swamp Camp, where you can be able to experience true antebellum chattel slavery bigotry from all of our race play actors. Every single one of them has been taught exactly how to be able to insult you to cause you to have physical and unending, enduring levels of pain.
Oh, I already imagined that Cam has like a freaking Confederate flag, like flying on top.
Don't forget to tune in
Duke
to
boys
our...
are at it again.
Don't forget to tune in to our drive-in movie theaters, where we play films such as Emancipation, Song of the South, Birth of a Nation, The Blackening, and Django Unchained.
What's the documentary that what's the name of this dude that it's this dude who talks about bug breaking? What's the name of that? That's the name of the
Tariq Nasheed.
Tariq Nasheed. Yes, it's such a weird.
Oh, and don't forget Daughter Takunta Kinte. With specific clips such as "Is my right?"
But we're getting off topic again. But so
Lock me
yes,
up.
no, the whole race. You can't have it one way. You have to have it this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick a lane.
We
Pick
don't
a
have it
freaking
at all.
lane.
It's funny how also they try to like justify like saying no, the difference between Baldur's Gate 6 and the other games is that it uses sex as a means to further the narrative. Yeah, like every single game that depicts the same thing does.
Oh, hold on. Carl having. Carl having issues?
Oh. Also, to the person in the chat, yes, it's a Stolas icon.
You are in fact the gay owl.
Look, I'll just say this: the only reason I like Stolas is because it fits my name.
Understandable.
Yeah. Aside from that, he's a character of a show that I would like to talk about.
Yeah, Carl is having some technical difficulties, so
Yeah.
there's that.
I will make no comment on the gay out.
What?
The
I said I will have no comment on the gay out.
Okay. I did actually like Hell of a Boss. I mean, it's good. It's just that I feel that the more it has progressed as a story, I kind of get like, so this is basically it. It's just like gays making jokes about sex.
Can you hear me, stream? It wasn't a boomerism. I physically was adjusting my microphone because the rubber bands that attach this microphone to this setup got nuzzled and pushed off.
there was a character, in fact, that had the quote look of a Jewish individual.
Oh,
Oy vey.
Pardon me, by the way. Say hi, Carl. Say welcome back. Oh, is it having? Are you still having issues, Carl?
Damn, Carl. But
you've
you're
gone
kidding me.
very off track.
Yeah, but you're kidding me that that they did that.
Oh my god!
What's the reason why he's in hell? Greed?
I am not certain at this point in time. But currently, Carl is sounding like a chipmunk on stream, and I think we. Ooh, that is not a good sound.
Uh-oh.
We're to stay
It
quiet.
happened again. It happened again.
What do you mean happened again?
This is I've seen this before. 11 times, as a matter of fact.
Also, Phantasma. That's a nice avatar right there. What character is that from?
So the lore behind that character. That is a character named. Hold on, let me find his full name.
Don't tell me it's from Genshin.
How is sound now? We're good now.
To it.
Can you hear me properly now?
Yes.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Hear you back.
Did you find the problem and fix it?
Yes.
All right, perfect. We can get
Perfect.
this show on the road instead of me
Go.
talking about my character, my profile picture.
I was definitely the entire time it was happening.
Oh, that's good. You didn't hear about Pepe.
Moving forward.
Yes.
It is hard to complain about the rich story of character development and about anything to do with video games if in the same breath that you say the game's story is good, but this game story being good is the reason why it's bad. Because they're doing things that I wouldn't do. I think I've heard multiple people make excuses to justify this when it was their pet peeve and pet projects. And I'm serious, I don't give a shit. Either it's good or it's not. If it's not good, then don't play it. Refund it. And it is good, deal with it. This is part of what good writing gives you. It has stakes.
So racism is a stake, Carl?
Yes. Yes, it is. Be like my French ancestors. Fuck your way out of slavery. Earn your freedom by causing orgasms. Okay? This is why I haven't rushed to find a way to afford this. I feel like if I played it for other people, it might hit differently, but this absolutely sounds like a fundamentally different game for white players. This right here is the number one reason why we do not allow people like this to affect people's ability to consider what they would be willing to play, ever. Because of you complaining about something that you didn't like, you just cost them a sale. Because of your racism, you just directly affected somebody's perception of the game. And you have now permanently burned it in their mind. You should be flogged for doing this. Game journalists do this all the time, but it's even worse when consumers do this. You should be flogged for this. Whether or not they come to your position should matter if they played the game. They haven't even played the game. I haven't rushed to find a way to afford it, then you weren't going to play it to begin with either. That's the first. Let's start there. If you weren't going to have money prepared to buy this game, and you specifically wanted to do it if somebody helps you fund a way to do it, you weren't going to play the game. You're not a content creator. Yeah, I don't recognize your name. The Candace girl. That Candace girl.
So
Quick side note about the whole deal about the viewpoint of a white player. I apologize terribly for this. This might be my own ignorance, but I really despise the whole lens lens viewing of everything is seen in a white man's perspective, because that's simply not true.
I mean, I think it's a problem, especially when you notice in the United States, and this is something I've noticed from spending time with gringos, use the word correctly, is that even though your country is a country that has long walk past things like Jim Crow and stuff like that, mentally you're still having the same like racial lens, if I'm using the word in the correct term. It's really funny to me that Americans view the world in a way that no one else does. Because in other countries, people talk about race.
It's because racism is one of the few things that Americans have to bond over. If they didn't have racism, they wouldn't have anything. I'm looking through this person's social media, and instead of telling you what I think, what I will tell you is you should go to this person's channel, and you should support their content. And when you go there, you should specifically tell them, timestamp this even, specifically tell them and show them the clip where SinglePlayerCarl said, you should go and ask this person what you think of Carl's opinion. And you should show them the section that is about to play. And by play, I mean that's about to happen. Because, regardless of whether or not, by looking at this particular interaction on the internet, that if I were to say something like, oh man, look at this person's content, this is so dog shit, why could you have such an opinion about this? About a video game you haven't even played, look at you, look at you, look at you! I think it's much more telling that this person's interaction has caused you to think about this and have this reaction, instead of saying, wow, that's really interesting how that's what you got out of that. Why don't I spend some money and find out about this interaction myself, and then reevaluate what you said upon what I experienced, and go from there? Because gaming is about meeting people halfway. The reason most people are vehement about gatekeeping is because the people, like Dauntless, do not want to meet people halfway. They want us to go to where they are from, not come to where we are or meet us halfway. They want us to go to everything is bigotry, everything is racism, everything is uncomfortable, and you should feel bad if you like this. Why aren't you listening to BIPOCs? BIPOCs are telling you what they feel and what they think. When all I want you to do is to play the fucking game! But in your desire to complain about an interaction in the game that you don't like, that you claim that you love, but you don't actually like, but you claim that you love it so much, but you don't actually like it, you have directly affected somebody else's opinion about the game. And because you have directly affected their opinion in a negative format, whether or not they already believe you, or they agree with your position, I think it reflects poorly on you that instead of saying, listen, this is just my particular take, you should play the game and see how you feel about it, the reaction Liz had to your comment, Candace, I'm gonna call you Candy. The reaction to their comment from your words, Candy, was, it's most certainly fun, I will say. It's 100% going to be Game of the Year, and it will deserve it. I don't think it deserves it if all the fuck it's being discussed about is only the sexual content, which, again, somebody explain to me why this is accepted to be played in full nudity and full bullshit on Twitch. And we don't see a single person getting banned for this, but if we were to have any other game like this, based in the Eastern, it would be acceptable. That's already a brain knot and a half. We already have a thought-determining cliche about that. I don't care enough about that. What I want to know is when they tell you this, and then says, but it's exactly what you said. For white players, it's fundamentally different. Racism Simulator ends when they log off. If you unironically believe this game is a racism simulator, why would somebody like you, that produces content like yours for tabletop RPGs, where one of your content pieces is this?
You notice Ezra has come back with two smaller glasses of sorbitol and just kind of has them in front of her a little bit and kind of over. It's like, here you go. Wow, it's so good to have you back. I see you met Leave.
Oh, hello, Ezra.
Hi. Do you want some more faster berries? Do you want me to go?
No, this is enough, I think.
Are you sure?
When this is the content that we are presented with and presenting, and when I look through your social media, and we find ourselves with this particular content that you have, I'm passing no judgment on your looks and appearances. Look at me! I'm an absolute fucking gremlin! Do I give a shit about my appearance? No! And that's why I'm based. Because I do it anyways. I'm who I am anyways.
Shh. I just need to see the game flash.
I'm who I am anyways. Regardless of all this shit that's here in your media tag, regardless of all the posts you have here, because it says here that you are doing a lot of crossover work with other people, regardless of all this shit you have here anyways, especially considering that you are retweeting these things, and you are tweeting things and retweeting things like, this is the exact shit we have to keep dealing with every time. We continue to try to share our experiences about how these things are continuously harmful to us, and we just keep getting back hate and death threats and plain stupidity. because of a community note that says tieflings are a fictional race that are descendant from demons and deities. There is no tie to real-world racism, because it's not real-world racism, things that happen in a video game. I challenge you to give me an answer. Because as you can see, but of course this is where skin folks isn't kinfolk come in, right? But as you can see, I have all the permitted requirements to discuss this issue. Why is it that you agree with this individual's idea? Because all this gobbledygook they said, leading to your reply, and for some reason, we can't simply... Oh no, I broke it. Oh no, I broke it. Why is it that we can't simply play the video game, and if their output is that they got Racism Simulator, you say to yourself, well, I don't know if I agree with that, but let me find out about in it. Find about what's in it. But instead, you immediately saw this, and it's like, this confirmed all my biases. What video games have you been playing that's what you feel is happening? Is this how you feel about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2? Is this how you feel about Neverwinter Nights? Is this how you feel about Icewind Dale 1 and 2? Is this how you feel about Icewind Dale Heart of Winter? Is this how you feel about Pillars of Eternity and the Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire? Is this how you feel about any particular game that's like this? Is that what you think when you think of tabletop RPG campaigns? You think of Racism Simulator. I would challenge you to explain to me where that comes from and why you think that. Because I would genuinely love to know. I would like to know what encouraged you to write that. What makes you think that white players are going to have a different reaction? That's what I want to know. I want to know about that interaction. You might have heard everything I just said and decided you didn't want to listen to a single thing that came out of my raccoon mouth. But I want to know the answer. Because unlike these game journalists, I'm an actual fucking journalist. I want to know. In fact, I'm going to record this section. I'm going to post this online. I want all the people in my feed that see this video read this sentence here that's on the screen in front of you. And I want, especially those of you whose complexion is not as caramel as mine, I want you to say to me in your own words, what do you think when you hear somebody describe a game like Baldur's Gate 3 as a racism simulator? And explain to me how you feel when two, I can only assume African American, if not black, if not skank, if not kinfolk, say that you have an independently different experience to them because of your genetic background. How do you feel when you hear that? Explain to me. Post it in the comments below. Tag me in the shit. I want to see it. We're gonna find out. We're gonna get to the bottom of this shit. We're gonna make some content. Alright, moving forward. Honestly wondering why so many people are still playing it. Is it because the game's fun? Because there's a lot of comments on that. I'm not going to go digging. I've already done enough damage. We'll find out if I'm canceled later, folks. I think it's personal preference. I have plenty of BIPOC friends who aren't bothered to move past it, don't play characters who face discrimination, Amao. It's individual. It's truly a good game at its core. It just didn't need all this extra nonsense. The lore of the story that is important to making it rich and lush and diverse is a bunch of nonsense. And clearly, they shouldn't have written it there, despite the fact that you came here to enjoy that game, but you're not enjoying how you must engage with the game. Also, the person who posted this particular tweet is a person who also limited/blocked everybody who gave them responses they didn't like. This response to that, whatever they said, was, I wanted to play as a GIF. Remember when I said you could just play as a different character in another save file? But when I saw what they did to the tieflings, I noped out so quick. I wanted to play the video game, so I wanted to play another path on a different save file, but I was so emotionally distraught by this fictional game that I got filtered by a game. That's tough. Aki Akino, Alpha Gremlin, save the furry comments. You're so valid. I reached a breaking point on my personal playthrough, and now I just murder everyone who remotely pisses me off. While you are justified and you are devout, and you are so valid for doing so, please do admit that when you got frustrated with a video game, you decided to stop actually engaging with its world and become a murder hobo. This now makes you equivalently a Nazi. Congratulations. Your armband will be in the mail. The only thing up to this is that somehow everyone wants to bang me in my party. It's rough, bro. The only up to engaging in a fantasy role-playing game is that because I was nice to my party, they want to lick my slatch. But anybody who annoys me, I send them to the spectral realm. I gas them to the astral plane. Just immediate transbeamification. That's a normal response. That's a normal response. The companions are my only staying point. I really love the companions, even the ones I'm not interested in. Let us manifest. I get Karlak just fine, and I have this problem because it sounds hilarious. And then, of course, some of these are just the memes. I disavow. That is actually, I believe, the end of the thread. Yes. It just cuts off into white because they went into private. This particular live PDF stopped recording. But that is the thread. That is the content. This was the person's entirety of what they had to complain about the game. Listen, guys. We want you to have fun. Your fun should not come at the expense of your mental fortitude, okay? If you can't play the game, you can't enjoy the game, if you are frustrated by all the things you do, and all the stuff you want to say, and all the ways you want to interact, of all the things that you do, the way that you envision your D&D is a spin-off of Critical Role. Have fun. I'm not stopping you. I have no desire to stop you. In fact, I want to see you do more. Because you shouldn't be discouraged from doing anything because of what you believe is the prevalent voice in a scene. You shouldn't be silenced by anyone. That is my opinion about everything. I will defend your ability to do the cringe shit that you want to do, or the base shit that you want to do. I'd rather you do it than say, oh my god, I was going to play this game that I paid money for. I could have bought, like, 5 nights worth of food that I could have cooked in my kitchen for $60, but you know, I loaded up the game, and I started playing as a devil creature, and everybody said, I fucking hate you, you evil devil creature, go die in a positive stream of terror. It's just like the bigotry and racism I face in the real world, working as a Batista, working as a member of food service, working in retail, working in a cubicle. Oh, the microaggressions that I experience, and they don't treat me like a god. It causes me such pain and anxiety. Only blacks can feel this. Only blacks. Only blacks. Whites don't get my agony. They could never understand my pain. Nobody knows my pain if they don't have charcoal in their veins. My life is nothing but language. Because the whitey is not speaking our BIPOC language. I don't care if that's how you choose to act. My Envycreature and gaming, you paid the money. The game is yours. Modify it. Murder hobo your way through it. I don't care. Stop projecting your problems of yourself onto other people. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for Candy. You don't speak for my audience. You don't speak for any person who is of these groups in the chat. You don't speak for any of them. Okay? I don't read racism into every interaction that I see on the internet. Well, there are people who are going to hate me for how I choose to be, how I am not them, and they are not me, and they can't be me because I am me. I'm him, not them. Why are you comparing them to me and saying that you are me? I don't want to be black if this is what it means. Okay? There are plenty of people in this game. There's even a black character in this game. And I know because I've seen people talk about him. Hell, Struggler's talking about it right now. There's an African American in that game looking just like Blagaloss from Rings of Power. And you guys have nothing good to say about it because you're so hyper-focused on this one niche thing. It's cringe. It's really cringe, bro. Does anybody have anything to add before we end the stream? Yes, no, maybe so.
We do.
I do too.
I'll let Al go first.
Okay, I'll do the same thing. Now, the first thing I want to say, Carl, is that I find interesting how they try to inject everything in race, and it's not just only on things like it's entertainment. Because it's funny how they always go like, we have to represent the world as it is. No, you want the world to see that you see in your entertainment to be the world you perceive as it is. Because here's the thing, I don't believe that these people experience actual racism or actual discrimination, especially for the quote-unquote jobs that they have. The other problem I have is that these people are extremely sad all the time because they are the ones who put race in every little conversation that they have. They are the ones who can't stop to think about it, even when they're playing games. Like, look, when I play video games, or I play, I don't know, or I read a book, I try to think of myself, it's escapism. For example, one of my favorite games of all time, Medieval Total War 2. I like to play as the Muslim faction because they're cool. And I just can't escape. I can't believe that I'm a Moorish caliph who's just killing Portuguese and Spaniards. Doesn't mean that I have to agree with what they thought, but it's because it's a game. Because I can escape. I can become something that I'm not supposed to. That I'm not. That's why people like Warhammer, for example, that's been in vogue recently. People want to play and say, "Let's for the Emperor." And the last thing is that I have a personal experience with someone who injected race in everything. It was someone who tried to convince me that the reason why people believe in the 18 and 1900s that dinosaurs were slow was because of racism. And because he said something about that because people in the past believed that race affected civilizations, they believed that dinosaurs were slow because they were prehistoric, and also because they thought that blacks were inferior and primitive, and I was like, what? Sadly, the combo was lost because I got my account suspended, but it was so ridiculous because it was like, people believed they were slow because they were... I even asked him directly, how can you be racist against a dinosaur? And he couldn't answer me a simple, straight question. Instead, he was going in circles. But that's simple. Like to me, the problem with these people is that they've been politically radicalized so much that they cannot have fun or engage with fantasy. For them, fantasy has to justify their beliefs, or you don't get to have fun. Because if they don't have fun, you don't get to have fun. And one last thing. I don't have a problem if people play Baldur's Gate. I don't care about it. My problem is that it's so hypocritical that if this had been a Japanese game, it wouldn't have the reception it's been getting. If it was a Japanese game, Twitch would have been banning people for playing it. That's my piece.
Anyone else?
Harvey, do you have anything before I give my final thoughts?
Well, I guess I could say this. Personally, I could care less about Baldur's Gate. I haven't played the first one, second one, probably not going to play this one either. I just think that the whole discourse around this is kind of stupid. Like, it's a video game. The puritanical Crusader Knight guild in the video game isn't gonna jump out of your screen and go all ISIS execution video on you because you played a tiefling in that game. No, it's not gonna happen.
But you see, they put concepts that relate to rival ideologies that they are against in the game, and if those rival ideologies have their particular perspectives validated through the context of the situation, then that means they're the baddies. Can't be the baddies. They're not the Nazis. So they have to fight them tooth and nail, even in escapism, because the escapism truly isn't escapism. It's just a layer of culture, and culture shapes society. Don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
You have to win the war. You have to win the war.
What war?
The war for culture.
Oh.
Funny we can talk about war, but we don't get good World War II games anymore.
No.
The only good
Not
World War
anymore.
II game that I know right now, as of right now, is Marauders, and even then, that's kind of a stretch. But anyways, with my final thoughts, at the end of the day, they can maul, they can cry, they can scream at the top of their lungs, but will it matter? No. No, it won't. And with that being said, I will say this. I'm going to be a human. I'm going to be a paladin or a fighter. And I'll say this to your tiefling. Rot in hell. And all the hells. Clearly. As an African American man, humbly and royally, go fuck yourself.
Base.
That's my final thoughts. Because, good God, this is getting egregious. Thank you, Carl, for having me on here, by the way.
Indeed.
Yeah, thank you, Carl, for having all of us on here.
Indeed.
Sorry
Indeed.
for barging in unannounced.
In a versus chat, there is no such thing.
Exactly. This is drop in, drop out co-op, my guy.
Paratrooper owl. That's how we call here someone in Chile when drop in somewhere unannounced and uninvited. You're like a paratrooper.
Ground Screech, did you see the person who brought up orcs recently? It's the same take, so I didn't see the reason to dig into it. They all have the same
Wait,
take.
another orc take that the orcs are black? Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
I will be going for now, but thank you so much. I will talk with you all later. Take care.
Mhm.
Okay, take care.
Adios.
Adios.
And
But again,
Adios.
orcs are black people?
always. They always were.
Why?
And those of you in chat who are new here, especially those who are founded on Twitch, I'm SinglePlayerCarl. I talk about things. I give my opinions. I analyze situations. I break them down from my perspective. And then I repeat it for an audience view. If you have supported the content and would like to support in the future, please consider subbing on any of the locations that can be seen on my support page here. Whether it be Twitch TV, Ko-fi.com, subscribers.com, or youtube.com/SinglePlayerCarl. Consider becoming a member of the Discord, joining the audience, joining the community, and interacting with other members of the Chutbuts, as we call them, the Carlists, and be able to support the content you have. Now, I will return in about... Drop it. Ow. 15-ish minutes to resume the Path of Exile. However, I will let Jethro play me out. Play me out, Jethro! sponsors for Single Player Carl and Radio Coon are provided by BBC Migraine Powder, Jib and Toby's Ethnic Enrichment Flavor, Blockbuster Entertainment, Uncle Tony's Riot Seasoning, Smart Negro Brand Colonized the Sheets Dating App, Immemorial Malt Liquor, and PointDexter.com, and the generous donations and watch times from viewers and haters like you. Thank you! And if you'd like to support Carl, consider leaving a wonderful donation at Ko-fi.com, Subscribestar.com, YouTube.com, and Twitch.com/SinglePlayerCarl. Make sure to support your Nicktree today, or you hate black people. When you come to a Single Player Carl stream, you're not expecting this man to make fucking sense. This man is completely fucking ignorant, insane, crazy. One could say that somebody let an insane asylum victim out and just simply start talking on the microphone. But you stay anyways. You stay anyways. Why? Because you are inter-fucking-tained. There's not a single moment where you don't feel something that might be finger-licking good. Just don't let him find out what your mama's first name is. He will try to fuck her. Single Player Carl's, home of the nappiest. There's motherfucker great.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll see you in about 5 to 15 minutes.